My days always start well when I find interesting questions from some of you on my email. So let's answer one. Hi, Brian from Airflow Music here. Welcome back to another video. This is day 16 of our Go Practice Daily series. Hope you're having a great day today. It's been a busy day again for me. I was out all day at an all-day rehearsal with Arturo O'Farrell and the Afro-Latin Jazz Orchestra for a couple of concerts we have coming up this weekend. I'll put some details in the description below about those. We're playing at the Hostos Performing Arts Centre in the Bronx on Friday and Saturday night. Be a good show. You should come out and check it out if you're in New York, but I know that many of you are not, so we won't dwell too much further on that. Like I said, one of the lovely things about doing these videos is receiving messages and comments and emails and what have you from those of you who watch. It's always very much appreciated. And got a really interesting question this morning that I wanted to just touch on. So the question was, in particular, we know it's important to rest as much as you play. That's something we hear very often. And so this particular person's question was, if you're playing the long tones, as we did in the 30 Days of Long Tones series, if you didn't see that, I'll put a link to that down below as well, so you can check it out. In that set of long tones that we were doing in those videos, there were 30-second long tones, and I was making a 10-second break in between. And it was the expanding series, the Bill Adams style expanding series. Same series we're actually doing here in these daily drills at the moment, just with long tones rather than the Caruso style things. But as we now know, there's 26 different notes, start notes if you like, in that sequence. So the question was, well, if I'm playing 30-second long tones, shouldn't I be taking 30-second breaks between each one? And that's totally logical, because rest as much as you play is a good idea. But here's what I responded and what I would say to all of you. Rest as much as you play is a good idea, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. But the thing we have to remember is this: even though we may spend many hours every day playing the trumpet, particularly if we're practicing, performing and all that kind of stuff, it's very rare that we spend more hours in a day playing than we do not playing. So at that point we are resting as much or more than we play. Okay? So we've got to be a little practical about this, and you could do 30 seconds on, 30 seconds rest through a sequence of long tones like that. It's just going to take you a lot longer to do the long tones if we do it that way. That series, as I said, has 26 tones in it. If we were to do that, that would take at least 26 minutes. The way we were doing it, we had it down to less than 20 minutes because we were taking 10-second breaks in between. But what I suggest you do in addition to that is then take a rest afterwards. So if we've taken 10-second breaks, then we're owed 20 seconds rest per long tone. If we top that up, 26 notes, that's going to be 520 seconds, which is, what's that going to be? 8 minutes and 40 seconds, just shy of 9 minutes. So, we've earned ourselves, or we're now owed, a 9-minute rest before we move on to something else. Okay, so we can do it that way. We've still rested as much as we played, and we give our chops a chance to calm down after such a long set of long tones, and we hopefully don't hurt ourselves. Okay? Now, the more practical way of dealing with this is to rest whenever we feel a bit tired. If we do that, then we hopefully never take our chops to the point of being really beat up, particularly not in the practice room. Sometimes playing rehearsals, playing for other people when we're not in control of how much we play, that is of course going to happen from time to time. But when we can control that environment and how much we actually play, we have the option to not beat ourselves up. And I'm very much of the opinion that we don't build our chops by playing to exhaustion. Some people will tell you you've got to, really tire yourself out. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's the way to build things up. That certainly hasn't proven to be the way for me. Okay? So instead, what we should do is play, practice, whatever, until we're a little tired, until we start to feel a bit worked out, then rest a short while until we feel fresh again, and then start playing again. Again, go until we're a little tired, and repeat. Okay? If we do that, we will gradually stretch out the amount of time we can go before we start to feel a bit tired. and we'll probably find that we recuperate a little more quickly in between as well as we get used to it. Okay, that's certainly been the way that building endurance has worked well for me all these years. Okay, so anyway, that's just something I wanted to share with you because that was a great question. I wanted to make sure we just got into it a little bit. But in the meantime, we do have some exercises to play, so let's get on with that. I've recorded these exercises first thing this morning before I left for my rehearsal. So what you will notice today is that I'm playing in a cup mute because I needed to keep the noise down a little bit. So I'm playing quite softly and I'm playing in a cup mute. Okay? You can play muted, open horn, whatever you need to do. That's fine, either way. But I just wanted to let you know that's why that is. In exercise 1, we're doing the same thing as ever. We are going at 60 beats a minute. This is focused really on trying to play in time, so I'm tapping my foot, subdividing the beat, and breath starting the first note of each phrase, and trying to breathe in time on the rest bars. Without much else to say about it, let's get into exercise 1. Okay, so there's exercise 1. Went pretty well for me today. I was feeling pretty good about this, I recall. Not too many things aired out. I think there was a little funkiness with the tuning on the alternate fingered notes, and I did learn that I need to adjust the cork slightly on my cut mute because the very lowest notes aren't quite speaking as freely as those directly above them. But that's really something I need to deal with the corks with. Okay, so other than that, I thought it went pretty well. My general question remains, how are you making out with these? How are you feeling for them? I'm certainly starting to feel locked in, and I can report that, having played these exercises today, I felt like I was well locked in at rehearsal. My chops felt good, my centering felt good, and all in all, I thought I was in a good place today. Hope you're having a similar experience. Anyway, let's move forward straight into exercise 2, because otherwise this video will get terribly long. So exercise 2, we are back to 80 beats a minute. I know that some of you enjoyed going slower. Yesterday's video with the slow version of those isn't going anyplace. So if you want to continue to play along with me slower, you can refer to that one. Okay? For the rest of us, let's go back to 80 beats a minute and keep everything moving forward. Okay, so we're still doing set 3, exercise 2. This is the 3 bars of moving notes pattern, 4th bar hold, 2 bars rest, and we're doing the triplets in whole steps. So it's the same thing that we've been doing. The first bar is going to be slurred, second bar is going to be tongued, third bar is going to be split between slurring and tonguing, 2 beats each. Once again, I'm playing this in a cut mute because it was this morning and I was trying to keep it soft, take the edge off the volume, and I was also playing quite softly. I think that's probably generally a good idea now we've got these things moving a little bit. Let's try and bring that volume down and get some soft response happening in this time response we're developing. Okay? So, let's get into exercise 2. So there's exercise 2. That again went pretty well for me. I felt pretty good about it all around today. I didn't have too much time to kind of stop and start and think about anything too much because I was on the clock a little bit because I had to make my rehearsal. But it felt good to get through these, and like I say, I felt good about how I was playing today. It made for a good day for me, warming up and then playing these early in the day. So that's certainly something I'll be repeating tomorrow as I have a similar schedule. So that's it for this one, because I do have to get this video together, edited and get it uploaded overnight so it can be with you tomorrow morning again, because I'll be out and about once more. Maybe I'll take a camera with me this time. We'll see if we can get that going. So you have a great rest of your day. If you've enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be back again tomorrow with the next one, and until then, go practice.